Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. So my basement has a tendency to flood, and typically it floods when the pump in this sump pit dies. It seems that I get a few years out of a pump, and there's a few techniques I've discovered to make a sump pump last a little longer. First step in getting a pump to last a long time is buying a good pump. The Little Giant makes some nice stuff. As a matter of fact, the original sump pump in that pit was this Little Giant here. The diaphragm switch on the side of it died, but the pump still works, so I just hot wired it dangerously, as you can see. And I typically use this to pump out the garage when the garage floods. The Little Giant will cost you, on the positive side, the wrong side, of 150 bucks, somewhere around 175. These guys here, these more plastic ones, they don't seem to last as long. And as a matter of fact, you might even be asking why I have a pair. This is the one that's going to go in the pit, right? This is going to be the pump that's actually going to do all the work. And I'll show you guys how I'm going to set it up so it lasts longer. This one I'm going to set up as a backup pump for those days when it's just raining to beat the band. And I'll drop this one in there with an extra long length of hose. And given the automatic operation, it'll just turn itself on and off. When the pump pit is empty, right, they'll both just shut themselves down. But just in case there's just so much crazy water in there, rather than have this thing run constantly until it hurts itself, it's better to, you know, have a second one in there. If you're gonna run two, I recommend just double checking how much power they're going to use. Like this guy here uses 9 amps. You don't want them both clicking on at the same time, because that 9 amps, and if you're plugged into the same outlet, right, you got 9 amps here. If this one does another 9, and when they fire up, they burn extra power, it'll knock down your breaker, which doesn't do you any good. You have all the pumps in the world, but no power to the pit, so to speak. Anyway, so we'll get this out. I'll show you how I package it up to make it last longer. I think I'm just going to keep this one as a loose pump, and then when I need to throw it in, I will, with a hose on it, and make it stand up and pump away. Unfortunately, they didn't include this piece with the kit, and it seems to be stuck in there. So we're gonna take the old grinder, give it a little bit of relief, and hopefully I can recycle this piece. If not, I'm gonna waste half the day going to Home Depot. By the way, if you're gonna use a grinder, you know, wear your eye protection. After my third trip to get metal taking out of my eye, just pry that right off. I learned just wear the goggles. No fashion statement here. Anyway, so I got to finish taking this apart. Put a little pipe dope or tape on there and put it together on that guy. So I painted it up with anti-seize. You guys could see the check valve is working. It's not stuck, right? You're able to push that in, and when water flows back against it, it stops. And now with the anti-seize, for the next time, hopefully I'm able to get this apart without any more issues. I don't have to worry about vibration and it unwinding, because there's going to be a hose on top that'll stop it from doing that. So you got the pump, got the hose. Theoretically, you just run the hose out chuck that in the hole, plug it in, and it's all good, right? The diaphragm pump does the on and off for you and all. That's one way of doing it, right? You can count on this screen here for keeping things clear. I don't like doing that. I like protecting the pump a little bit more. So what I have is a ventilated bucket here. I rope, or use some binding wire, bind the pump to the bottom of it and the hose coming out. This way plenty of water, it gets in the bucket with all those holes, and even should it overflow, it'll come in the top. And you can tell by how dirty the bucket is. It has been submerged and plenty of dirty water in it. I just find that doing it this way, should there be some debris in there, leaves particularly, they have a tendency to get pulled flat against here, right? Like just picture a leaf blocking this up. This just keeps some of that from doing those bad things. My preference, eh? So you may be wondering how deep this hole is. Do me a favor, John, stand up. John is 6 foot 3 inches. Yeah, he won the short straw for digging out the bottom of the sump. That's kind of a lousy job, but I appreciate him doing it. Before you declare anything complete, you should make sure that it's going to function. So the pump is roped down in there, and it's plugged in to where it would normally be plugged in over there. And if I could just have you pick this up and lower it right into the rain barrel, we'll see if it clicks on. Lower it nice and slow. Keep going. Oh, there you go. Take it on out. Just make sure it stops. And it stops. Look at that. It even works. Just think how bad it would be if you put this whole thing together and your basement floods anyway because the pump doesn't work. So the sump pump is in the pit. The pit's all cleaned out. Notice, I think you guys could see, the pump is actually sitting on buried concrete block and the dirt's moved away from all the way around it. We got as much debris as possible out of there. You can see the hose comes up and goes into here. That goes over my shoulder about 50 feet into kind of a dry well situation. I have a rope tied to the bucket and the bucket to the cross member there, because a lot of times when this thing is flooded and all, right, you really don't want to be pulling on the cord or the hose, so that way I can lift the whole thing up by the bucket. You'll also see that one cross brace. I put these other across the pit just in case somebody's jumping up and down on the cover for some unknown reason. They won't fall all the way into the hole. They'll fall onto those braces. Perhaps they'll get hung up on the Great Divide. But if that happens to them, they kind of deserve it because they were jumping up and down on the cover. Anyway, so now it's just a matter of putting the cover on top and bolting the hinge back on, and I think we're good. Oh, by the way, I put that block there with a couple of angle irons down, so hopefully it helps keep the dirt away from going into the pit. So I'll show it to you when it's done. So here we have it. I think a job well done. Right, you can't fall in. Nice cover, goes up and down. I don't care if some rainwater drips in. That's not what worries me. So hopefully my sump project is done and I get to cross something else off the list. I want to thank everybody for dropping by to watch and comment and subscribe. Please remember, feet down, heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.